You can feel the tension in the air, almost as if the city is holding its breath. The aftermath of a tragedy, one that unfolded right here just hours ago, has left a mark on everything it touched. We stand at the crossroads between past and present, where the destruction of yesterday lingers as a quiet reminder of what's been lost. What happens when a place that was once full of life is reduced to rubble? What's next for these streets, these buildings, these memories? Chateau. Good morning, and welcome to this very special update on a fire that has shaken the heart of Blackpool. Just one day ago, the Strand Lodge Hotel, a historic building with stories of countless visitors, was ravaged by a devastating fire. As we stand here this morning, I want to take you through the area, show you the damage, and talk about the impact of this event. We'll walk together through these streets, passing by places that have changed forever, and reflect on what this tragedy means for this community. To get a sense of the scope of the fire, you don't have to look far. The devastation is everywhere. Take a look at the surrounding streets. Dixon Road, Derby Road, Wilton Parade, all of them closed off, with police and fire crews working tirelessly to ensure that no one gets too close to the scene. The fire that broke out yesterday wasn't just a small incident. It was a disaster, one that's still being assessed, with some of the first responders still on site this morning. And as you can see, the damage is immense. It's hard to capture the magnitude of what happened in just a few images. The once iconic Strand Lodge, a building that many would have recognized from its prime years, now stands as a shell of its former self. If you look closely, you can see the burned remnants of the roof, pieces of its structure still smoldering in the wake of the fire. It's a haunting sight, something you wouldn't expect to find in the middle of a thriving community. But that's the reality now. We spoke with the fire crews yesterday, and they confirmed that the fire took hours to bring under control. By the time they arrived, the flames were already taking hold of the upper floors, and they had to act quickly to prevent it from spreading to neighboring buildings. And spread it nearly did. Firefighters managed to contain the blaze just in time, but the damage to the Strand Lodge is catastrophic. It's safe to say that the hotel, as it was, is unlikely to be salvaged. The extent of the damage is so severe that demolition could be on the horizon. We spoke to some local authorities, and while it's too soon to confirm, there are strong indications that the building could be torn down in the coming weeks. But the real question is, what happens to this site after that? Will it be rebuilt, or will it stand as a vacant lot, one more reminder of the fragility of history? As we walk past the Imperial Hotel just across from the Strand Lodge, we can't help but think about what this fire means for the rest of the neighborhood. For years, these streets have been home to local businesses, tourists, and residents alike. Now, there's a palpable sense of uncertainty. Will these buildings stand the test of time, or will they too become casualties of a tragedy that no one saw coming? The impact of this fire isn't limited to just one building. It's rippling through the entire community. Take, for example, the surrounding shops and businesses that line these streets. Some of them are boarded up, their windows shattered, from the fire's heat. There's a lot of uncertainty here. Business owners are worried about the future. What will happen to their livelihoods in the wake of this? Will the area recover, or will it be abandoned, left to wither as the city moves on? There's a real concern about how long it will take for this neighborhood to bounce back. It's a tough situation, no doubt, but there's something to be said for the resilience of the people here. From the business owners who are trying to salvage what they can, to the emergency responders who worked through the night to ensure that no one else was harmed, there's a sense of community that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how intense the fire was. It's heartening to see how everyone is pulling together in the face of something so tragic. Even as the fire crews begin to pack up their equipment and head out, the damage lingers in the air. The morning fog, combined with the remains of the fire, creates an eerie scene. It's almost as though the city itself is mourning the loss of something once treasured. The Strand Lodge, after all, wasn't just any hotel. It had been a staple of the community for decades, hosting visitors, travelers, and locals alike. It held stories, memories, and a sense of nostalgia that many will now hold dear, represented for so many people. The fire has taken something irreplaceable, something that can't be rebuilt with just bricks and mortar. The Strand Lodge was a piece of this city's soul, and now it's gone. How do we move on from that? How do we rebuild something that feels so lost? For the people of Blackpool, this fire has been a hard blow. Many knew the Strand Lodge as a familiar landmark, and its destruction marks the end of an era. But even in times of loss, there's room for hope. People here are resilient. They're already beginning to think about what comes next, what can be done to honor the history of this place while forging a path toward the future. The city's planning department has already begun discussing options for the site. There's a possibility that the area could be rebuilt, transformed into something new, perhaps a memorial to what was lost or a symbol of the city's recovery. We can only speculate at this point, but one thing's for certain. The community will have a say in what happens next. This isn't just about a building. It's about the heart of the city, and that's something no fire can ever take away. As we stand here today, we're reminded of just how fragile life can be. One moment, everything is normal, and the next, everything can change in an instant. The fire at the Strand Lodge may have taken away a part of Blackpool's history, but it's also given us the opportunity to reflect on what really matters: the community, the people, and the spirit that binds us together. Whatever comes next, for this neighborhood, the memories of what was and the resilience of those who remain will ensure that this place continues to thrive. You can see the damage: windows shattered, walls charred, the remains of what used to be a well-loved part of the local landscape. I spoke with some of the police and fire personnel, and they mentioned that while it's still too early to say for sure, the building is unsafe. That's something we've heard repeatedly from the crews on site. The hotel may very well need to be demolished, and that could happen sooner rather than later. As we continue to walk through, we can see the presence of demolition equipment being brought in. You have to wonder how much longer the building will stand before they start tearing it down. The damage is so extensive that it might not even be safe to leave it standing for long. The question on everyone's mind is, will the building be saved, or is this the end of the Strand Lodge? Ning. We're now at the back of the hotel, and the damage here is even worse. While the front of the building doesn't look as bad, the back is completely destroyed. It's hard to imagine how they could salvage anything from this site. It's all just too far gone. The storm that passed through the area earlier this week didn't help either. Had the fire taken hold during those high winds, the destruction could have been much worse. Looking at this devastation, it's difficult not to think about how much worse things could have been. If those winds had reached their peak during the fire, this neighborhood might be dealing with far more than just a burned-out hotel. The storm's aftermath could have turned this into a tragedy on an even larger scale. As we take in the aftermath, we know that things are far from over. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, this area will likely see more activity: assessments, investigations, and perhaps even the start of demolition. The police are maintaining their presence, ensuring that no one gets too close, and the roads are still closed off. This will likely be a major part of Blackpool's news for days to come. Thank you for joining us today as we navigated through this difficult chapter in Blackpool's story. We'll continue to update you on any new developments regarding the fire and the future of the Strand Lodge. Our hearts go out to everyone affected by this event, and we stand with the community in the face of adversity. Stay safe, stay strong, and we'll be back with more updates soon. Until next time.